expected or unexpected, whatever you can see it as. But today, we gotta talk. Is Tristan here today, and welcome to today's video. And in today's video, we are going to talk about this. The whole Facebook Uproar drama, part 2. Okay? Now, so today this is going to be focused around the Facebook drama. What happened with the Facebook drama and everything. So if you guys haven't seen my last video on the Facebook drama, basically in August of 2020, there was this whole like Facebook drama thing where neighbors were attacking my mom and saying all these things about her and everything like that. I do apologize. I'm using Photo Booth as my thing for video. I probably should switch it to that. There. So basically what happened is there was a Facebook uproar in 2020. My mom was being attacked by these neighbors who say things like, oh, well, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. And it's like, oh my God, it's like, what's the problem with these people? And it's like, what's going on? So today, that's what we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about it today, explaining what happened with all this. And, this is kind of like a part 2 kind of thing, if you want to see it as that. Alright, so let's go and jump into it. Back to this. Kelly Humphrey. What do I think could have changed? So let's look over this one last time. It doesn't matter what your beliefs are or opinions are, whatever hole you crawled out from. Opinions are, okay, look, you cannot attack people like this. This post should be deleted by the administrator. Now, calling somebody Bob Cratchit, who is Bob Cratchit? I looked it up. Some long-haired dude with a beard, basically. And, you felt the need to go on Facebook and respond to one of my videos that you're supposedly attacking. Or maybe you weren't attacking my videos. Maybe you're attacking somebody else. Maybe something happened. But the fact is that the way that this is kind of played out and the way it makes sense is that it sounds as if you're attacking somebody who may have told kids not to play in the street, or moi. me. Because the thing about it is that you attacked my mom. You made fun of her disabilities. You just was just so in the wrong. Calling her twats. Calling her, what? Twats, spats, other names as well. I don't really remember. Some other names you were calling her. Some other things you were saying. You know, saying, oh, I hope you're proud of what your son stands for, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what, Kelly Humphrey? You want to attack my video about you doing what you did, complaining about stuff you have no control over. Yeah, I'm sorry if you happen to, put your profession at risk, whatever you work as. But the problem is, you are responsible. You are responsible for your inactions. And that leads to consequences. Okay? By attacking somebody on Facebook who you do not know, attacking a neighbor on a Facebook page who you do not know, that's where it becomes a problem. Because you don't know my mom personally. You're not next door to her, nor is the canine cop's wife, nor is anyone else. They don't know everything about her. Same with the canine cop's wife. The reason why the canine cop's wife really, really stepped in and really, really yanked the hair out of my mom's head is because it's because of me and because of the issues with the neighbor that lived behind us. Because they're both, the neighbor that lived behind us and the canine cop, they're best buds. So an attack on them, on the neighbors, attack on them, basically. That's basically how it's perceived. It's an attack on them. And because it's an attack on them, they feel like, oh, they need to go and respond to that. They need to really step in and go after my mom because I'm her son and then all this other nonsense. Because we all know, if you guys want to check it out, go and check it out in the Canine Cop video. But yeah. Okay, now let's say you live in a community, these are private streets. Correct. Those are private streets. But the problem is, they might be private streets, but you do not run them. The supposed HOA does. In maintaining them. So kids on bikes are allowed. The problem with kids on bikes is that kids on bikes don't pay attention. And they're out and about without knowing what the freak they're doing. And they end up cutting in front of people. Okay, when you're on a bicycle, you have to be aware of your surroundings at all times. You have to pay attention to your surroundings at all times. You have to pay attention to your surroundings. You've got to pay attention to your surroundings. You have got to stop at stop signs. Got to stay on the right side of the road. Got to watch out for any type of danger, basically. Those kids can't do that. Those kids, they just blah, 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 and they just come right out in front of you and then you get hit. I have caught it on video. I've almost been hit by kids. I got hit by a kid riding a bike in that neighborhood head on. And it's dangerous. And I don't think that because if your kids are not old enough to not manage to run out in front of a bicycle, then they shouldn't be riding bikes, period. And that's what the canine cop did. Just let him do it. And after I hit their kid, they just don't seem to get it. Like, hey, your kid got hit by a bike. You should really take it as a wake-up call. Like, say, hey, maybe I need to be more aware. Maybe I shouldn't let my kids go out unsupervised. And that's what they do. They go out, they get drunk, and blah, blah, blah. And that's all our fault. They're basically becoming an enemy of the neighbors in the neighborhood. How's the best way to solve this? Have all those parents move. Have them move out of that neighborhood, move into a neighborhood where they have a playground and all that. But the thing about it is, People will do whatever they want. You don't control other people unless you're the police. Um, so the bus stop is designed by the city of VA Beach, so kids literally have the approval to be on the street. Now, of course, I myself have experience with this. Have had experience with this. I know how it is because you have kids riding on the street with without being supervised. Okay, they run out in the street unsupervised, and when I would walk home from the bus stop, I had a friend of mine who was walking next to me, and some lady come barreling in, literally laid on the horn at my friend, and flicked her finger up. And I told her off because my friends was walking in the street. We don't have sidewalks. If there is a person a kid walking in the street behind you, the thing you should do is at the very least tap your horn. You don't full on lay on it at a freaking kid, at a freaking person walking home from the bus stop. Now that I will agree on them with. That I will agree on. Kids walking home from the bus stop, that I would agree on. That I actually understand. Because my friend got the horn laid at him, basically. Because he was walking in the street. And the lady went off on him. Threw up her hands. So I told her off. Because she was 100% in the wrong for that. She should just tap the horn. She should tap the horn. Tap the horn. That's all you do. You don't need to go in there horn blaring and all that. Horn blaring and all that. Like that. That's just overdoing it. That's aggressive driving. Okay? You can't do that. Now going on to neighbors. Now going on to all that. That I can understand. I'd be walking there from the bus stop and somebody just beep at you or whatever. And, that I will agree with them on. When I'd be coming home, when I would walk home from the bus stop, people would beep at me, beep at other people walking home from the bus stop. All that. I even had one guy throw his hands up at me when I was on my bike. And I told him off too. Now that I will agree on. I had a UPS truck almost hit me with his UPS truck because he was turning his truck in, and because he had to make a wide turn, I was right there going from the edge of a corner, and I could feel the heat from his exhaust from the truck blowing onto my leg. So every time I was up there, I'd always get up onto the grass so he could turn. Yeah. Craziness, right? Bus stop. So if you'd like to challenge this thought to temple in these kids just to make a point, I promise you will lose that battle. Okay, first of all, if someone hits a kid, they're going to go to jail. Bottom line. You hit a kid, you go to jail. You hit someone's kid, you go to jail. Simple as that. Why would somebody do that just to make a point? Why? Why would somebody do that just to make a point? I mean, seriously. Why would somebody do that just to make a point? Why? Why would somebody do that just to make a point? That kind of makes no sense to me. Why would somebody do that? Just to make a point. Nobody would do that. Nobody would go and hit someone's kid deliberately just to make a point. Nobody would do that. I mean, because you go to jail. Now, this isn't open for discussion. We've gone around and around again. It's done. You can't effing hit kids. Now, this isn't open for discussion. She might have seen my video about it, and she's like, "Oh, well, maybe I should just say this is open for discussion." Well, yeah, you are detaching yourself away from the situation. That's understandable. The thing about it is, you feel the need just out of the blue just to say that in a direct and indirect way. Because who are you talking to? Talking to me? Probably. Now, nobody wants to hit kids. Nobody on kids. Okay, first of all, I'm not telling kids they can't ride in the street. I'm not telling kids they can't be in the street. I'm not saying that you can hit kids. I'm not saying any of that. None of that. All I'm saying is that the way these parents handle the situation is wrong. They're putting their own lives in their own hands by confronting people at their homes and confronting them. If a kid almost gets hit, take your phone and call the cops. That's all you do. File a police report. File a police report and let the cops deal with it. Don't put it in your own hands because you will end up hurting yourself, getting yourself hurt. So let's summarize all this. What is Kelly Humphrey's point? Well, she's probably going after me because she saw the video. She probably saw the video, and the only way they would have saw the video is if the canine... There's a friend who is a friend in that group with the neighbors and the canine cop. Neighbors live behind us and the canine cop. She was a friend of mine. And she's the only one that I get along with there. She's the only one that's friendly. And I'm sure she kind of would see my point. You know? I mean, I understand kids will be kids. The thing about it is you're literally confronting people. Now, of course, now as for my friend, however, she would see the point and she's like, oh, yeah, well, I can understand how that is, you know? I understand how that is. But the thing about it is that, you know, you confront somebody, this is what's going to happen. But anyway, guys, you know, attacking my videos and all that, like I said, it's not open for this. Like what she said, it's not open for discussion. What I say on my channel stays on my channel. You know, if I make a video about you, I make a video about you. Simple as that. It's the end. But the fact that you're going to go and confront me on Facebook as a message like that, call me Bob Cratchit. It's not about opinions. It's about the way you handled the situation, the way you treated my mom. And you should be ashamed of yourself. Take this example and do not attack neighbors who you do not know. Don't do it. So, if you guys haven't seen the whole Facebook Uproar thing, go ahead and check it out. It's a whole thing. It's a whole series about how everybody reacted. And just to be on the clear side, my mom did not ask me to make that video. I chose to make that video. Because for one thing, people need to know about this. Okay? You got someone going online attacking somebody who you do not know and is attacking them and saying all these things about them on Facebook and on a public Facebook page in the neighborhood, and all because of something that she said that people were basically attacking her because of it. Now, let me go ahead and revise what my mom had said, and I'm going to do that later down the video. But this is what... So basically what Mom said is that she said, you know, neighborhoods are not meant for streets and blah, 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 blah. So let's go ahead and let's look at that right after this. So this is what I got last night. Saw it pop up on my phone. It was a screenshot, so I screenshotted it. Um, so as you guys know, with the Kelly Humphrey lady, she was the one that was the most ridiculous out of all of them. I mean, she was just really, really, really just like overdoing it too much. And it's like, why? Why go on Facebook and attack somebody like that? And literally just overstep and risk getting banned from the Facebook page. Because, I mean, you can't go on Facebook and do that to your neighbors who you don't even know. And basically, they just basically were just attacking my mom over and over and over again, saying that she is the one, saying that she's advocating speeding and hitting kids and all that type of stuff. That's what their viewpoint is on it. When that's not what she said. She was PO'd because somebody spoke about her on the page and attacked her on the page. They accused her of being drunk while driving, which she wasn't that day. She was confronted. She confronted the person who yelled at her to slow down. She was, she was 100% in the right. And, you know, she was 100% in the right. No matter how much you look at it, these people are just people. They're not police officers. They are not the DOT. They are not judges. That's not who they are. They are parents of children. And I understand parents protect their children, blah, 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 blah. But the thing about it is, and this is a fact, you cannot control the actions of other drivers. You cannot control the actions of other drivers. You have to accept the fact that there are going to be people out there driving who are not going to follow the law and are going to risk hurting somebody. And you just got to accept that. Now, of course, as a parent, you should just, take it in consideration and be like, okay, well, I don't want my kids getting hit by cars. What should I do? I should stand out with them, pay attention to streets, move them out of the way as the car's approaching, and voila. But the problem is, you're going to the extreme of going up to their house, banging on their front door, and yelling at them. Now, of course, this all has something to play in later in this video, and that's what I'm going to get into later. But as of now, let's go and see what Kelly Humphrey said. PSA, it doesn't matter what your beliefs are. Hang on, let me restart. She said, PSA, it doesn't matter what your beliefs are or your opinions or whatever hole you called out from. You don't get to hit kids playing in the street. You and your Bob Cratchit ass don't get to tell kids not to play in the street. You live in a community neighborhood and these are private streets. We all pay HOA to maintain them. So kids on bikes are allowed. The bus stop is designed by the city of VA Beach to be in front neighborhood. So literally kids have the approval to be on the street. If you would like to challenge this thought and attempt to hit one of these kids just to make a point, I promise you will lose that battle. This isn't open for discussion. We've gone around and around about this. It's done. You can't effing hit kids. Okay, so last night I was thinking, like, is she attacking me? Or is she attacking somebody else who did something? Because I don't know what could be going on there, but I don't live in that neighborhood anymore. I don't know what goes on in that neighborhood anymore in regards to speeding. The thing about it is the speed limit in that neighborhood is 15 miles an hour. Okay? 15. Most neighborhoods that are exactly like the one I used to live in are 25 miles an hour. Now, what does that have to do with 15 mile an hour speed limit in the neighborhood? Okay, the problem is, you have to understand, people go 5 over the speed limit. People aren't going to go exactly at the speed limit. I mean, some people do. But the thing about it is, and I know this from experience, if you go exactly the speed limit, somebody behind you is going to tailgate you the entire way because that's what most people do. And police are less likely to pull someone over going 5 over. Now, if you're going 10 over, then yeah, they would likely pull you over. But going 5 over is not that big of a deal when you're on the road. Now, in the neighborhood with kids, you might want to be going slower. You might even want to be going 10 or 10 or 5 miles an hour. Because the thing about it is with going 10, with going really fast, I mean, look at my bike that I rode. I hit a kid and I was going 15 miles an hour with the bike, and that was years ago. That was the Canine Cop's kid that I hit, which, by the way, they're probably the ones who are probably gonna see this, but anyway. But yeah, I mean, I hit, and you know, the problem is that these parents are letting these young, immature kids, and I understand they're kids. Of course, they're gonna be immature, but they have kids that are not even old enough to even say their parent's name. Not old enough to say mom or dad. They're not even old enough. And they're basically being left out there unattended, basically. Because I've seen, and these people, they're just ridiculous about it. Like, I have seen grandparents sit in the middle of the frickin' street, acting as if the street is their living room. Living room. Like, the street is for bicycles, anything with wheels, to get by. And you're literally treating it as if you're living room. That makes no sense to me. I've seen people with a table and bar stools out in the middle of the street. And it's like, what the heck is wrong with these people? I mean, jeez. I mean, and yet, people driving are the problem? People driving their cars are the arch nemesis? And let me just say, you want to know how my neighbors knew everything about us? Like, about like who's been at our house, who's been this, who's been that? Is because they noticed things. When my mom had her Jetta, okay, and she got the car that she has now, the canine cop was standing on the side there, and he was looking right at the window and saw me in it with mom. Like, oh, well, looks like the bike rider and his mom got a larger vehicle. Wow, they've certainly grown. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they got a larger vehicle now. Like, oh, now we know what it looks like. And yeah, they know what it looks like. They've seen it. They know my mom drives it. And, they know everything about us, apparently. Now, of course, there's so many other factors. There's that Gina McAuliffe lady who downright accused my mom of doing something illegal when she didn't do anything illegal. You got this Kelly Humphrey lady who just attacked my mom on everything. And then you got her responding back to my videos like, oh my God, there's such a problem. How do I know she's talking about me? Okay, so she's saying Bob Cratchit. Now, the thing about it is, I looked up Bob Cratchit on the internet because I didn't know who it was. And turns out, from the images, something like what I looked like with my long hair and, brown hair. So basically, are they talking about me? I don't know, guys. I really don't know. But the problem is that you have the audacity to go on the Facebook page and just full on curse and all that stuff on here. Like, yeah. And I know this isn't like a copy and paste thing because said the bus stop is designed. So obviously they're having issues with the bus stop, with people speeding and whatnot. And and the thing about it is, there's two different people in that neighborhood in regards to that. People who speed, people who do what they're supposed to do. Now let's go ahead and let's back it up. Are they talking about me? The question is, yeah, they could be talking about me. Because the thing about it is, it was a bunch of mothers versus my mom. Basically a Facebook cat fight, if you understand what I'm saying. A Facebook cat fight, okay? Facebook cat fight, Facebook everything, right? And they don't even know anything about us or our family, unless they're going around gossiping, which is likely. Now, other people in that neighborhood did not stand up and take a side with us because they didn't want to get involved. They didn't want to get involved because they knew that no matter what was going to happen, these mothers were never going to change. They were never going to change. And they are never going to change. They are going to believe that they feel entitled, that they need to put their own matters in their own hands. Okay, yes, I understand kids speeding. It's not good. It's bad. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, drivers speeding in the neighborhood 50 miles an hour. The problem is they can't do anything about it, except just complain about it. The only thing that they can do is talk with the DOT or whoever and have speed cameras put up or speed bumps put in or whatever. Whatever they need to do to make them feel like they need to deal with it. But the fact that they're going on Facebook, attacking a neighbor who was upset because somebody talked about her and made false accusations. Not false accusations. Well, the false accusations with the drunk driving thing, that was false accusations. But the whole thing about saying, oh, they got upset, blah, 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 blah. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, you're going to confront, because because I'm going to tell you everything about what's happened in regards to that, kind of backing you guys up. But anyway, saying that we live in a private street, you can't hit kids. I never said that hitting kids was something that would make a point. Never. Now, of course, me saying that, I don't get to tell kids not to play in the street. And that's understandable. But the problem is that these kids playing in the streets, okay, it's not a safe, practical idea. Because, and you have to understand, those driveways are like probably about 6 or 7 to 8 feet long. They're not very long, and they're concrete. Okay, it's not like you live in some big giant house with a long driveway that's like 20 feet long. Then yeah, you could just play in your front yard, right? But those driveways are so small, cars are parked there. You pretty much have to play in the street. But the problem is, these kids, they're so into what they are doing that they don't know what's going on around them. So if you're on a bicycle or in a car, some little toddler is going to go, yeah, run right out in front of you, then something happens. You know what I mean? And trust me, it's happened to me all the time. I've honked horns at the kids. I have said something, as you guys know with the whole canine cop story. That's a whole thing. I've honked. I've done all that stuff. I've even gotten a couple accidents in the neighborhood because of it. One time, as you guys know, I hit the canine cop's son. The second time was when I was on my mom's bike and some kid, hang on, older, was had a water gun or a Nerf gun rather. It was either one of the two, and he was in the middle of the street. Well, he somehow backed up into me or something. I don't know how it happened, but I was trying to go behind him, and he ended up coming backwards or running backward or something, and he clipped the handlebar on my mom's bike, and clipped it, and he clipped the handlebar, and I was right up on the curb. I was about to flip over onto the curb, and I went and hit his water gun, and his water gun tore the skin off my finger, tore the skin on my finger. So I said, "Hey, are you okay?" And we just went on. That's just how easy it is to get into a wreck with kids in that neighborhood. And then another time on the bike I currently have, some little girl went and slammed into me head on. And thankfully I was able to stop in time. And she just slammed right into me. Didn't even use her brakes. Didn't even use them at all. Didn't even slow down. She wasn't hurt though. There was no damage, no nothing, so we went on our separate ways. But as you guys see, I've had 3 total accidents involving kids in 7 years I've lived there. It's like, why? Why are they not aware of their surroundings? The Facebook uproar. So I'm not saying that they shouldn't be in the street, okay, but telling me that I don't tell kids not to play in the street. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is it's the parents' problem. They are not aware of what's going on. They are not aware of what's going on. They just let their kids. Now, of course, one person, however, did handle the situation, but the canine cop, he would just look at me and would just go back to whatever he was doing. It's like he's waiting for me to say something or do something so he can go all berserk on me and flip out, which he has done. If you guys haven't seen it, go check out the Canine Cop video. That one there explains the whole Canine Cop video. Now, anyway, let's go back to the Facebook uproar. What went on with the Facebook uproar? Let's go back to that. Shoot. Oops. Come on. Alright. So, let's go and let's read over these comments here. So, and I'm going to raise up my brightness because I can't really. So, anyway, so Joe Walter said on August 20th, 2020, he said, "Please slow. I have recently watched way too many drivers driving too fast in the neighborhood. Today I watched some squeal their tires at the stop sign and in front of the neighborhood. Last time I checked, the speed limit was 15. Someone's going to get hurt if we all don't take the time to slow down." Well, then Rhonda Kryzak said, "I agree," and all that. Some people were like, "Oh, I agree." And then Carlitos Rivatera said, "I'm with you, Joe. Last time I told someone to slow down, they got all upset saying they weren't going more than 20 miles an hour. The speed limit is speed limit. There is no such thing as 5 over." Okay. Now let's scroll down. Now, I don't have, I don't have people. Now, basically somebody responded to it. I can't specify who, but somebody responded to it, and basically, they basically said, "Oh, so you go exactly 55 miles an hour, and you're this, you're that, you're an idiot, blah, 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 blah." Then Cannon Cop's wife responded saying, "Oh, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that you can't, that speeding's not a good idea, and blah, 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 blah," and all this other nonsense. So basically, so they basically responded to that. Well, now it's not up on here, but I do have the exact screenshots on the past ones But the reason why her comment does not show up, my mom's comment, is because she's not on Facebook anymore. So she doesn't use Facebook. That's why her comment's not showing up. But on my past videos, I do have those screenshots of people saying it. So basically, somebody said, um, like, speed limit simple, no need to belittle your neighbors and blah blah blah. And and so here comes. So basically, now of course the comments and all that's not showing up because my mom's comment technically was deleted. Well, it's not deleted; it's just been disabled. Basically, I guess you can say. But I do have those screenshots. If you guys want to check it out, it's on the previous video um, about it. So basically, it was things like, oh, well, let's talk about you driving drunk. My mom wasn't drunk that day. Okay, let's back this up. Back in 2020, and I'm going to full screen this so I have your full attention. Back in 2020, it was this all started, we had a whole summer of practically neighborhood drama. The drama was that there was neighbors fighting and practically attacking people. So starting back in June of 2020, there was a fight that happened right in front of my house, on the corner of my house. And what happened is there was these people speeding, and someone walking dogs yelled at them to slow down. So they're like, oh, what'd they say? So they go and turn around, and they fly past another group of kids, with that tall guy, you guys have seen, with that tall guy. So after the tall guy basically was so angry that they sped right past the kids, he went running down the street after them, got up in the driver's face, and the driver punched him in his face. And someone else got involved, and it almost turned into a brawl. And it almost turned into a brawl. And I actually caught the whole thing on video. If you guys want to check it out, it's on Facebook. Not Facebook, it's on YouTube. Basically, they confronted him. And they got into a huge fight. People got assaulted. And there was this huge altercation. And the police were called. So I caught the rest of the thing on video. And it was a catastrophe. A couple months later after that, somebody, I'm not going to say who, was driving my mom's car. A friend was driving my mom's car. Let's just say that. Driving my mom's car, the one she has now. Driving her car. And they were speeding. Like, I don't know how fast they were going, but they were going fast. And the canine cop's wife yelled at them to slow down. And moments later, she came to the front door and yelled at him. Basically. Yelled at them. Basically. Went and yelled at them. And not long after, then going further into July, I was with my mom. I was sitting in the back. We were with a friend. She was driving, coming back from the beach. And as we're going by, there's this guy getting out of his truck. And my mom was actually slowed. And he went and yelled at her to slow down. And said, hey, slow down. So my mom heard it. So what she does is she went down, is she pulled up into her driveway, pulled in the garage, got out, walked over to the man, and they were across the street talking to that Gina lady, the one who was just ridiculous. Went over and confronted him and said, "Excuse me, sir, did you just tell me to slow down?" And it just turned it up to be this whole argument. And I was like, "I'm not speeding. I'm not speeding." And they're like, "Well, if you're not speeding, just go home." And like, "Oh, I live right there. I'm like, guess what? I'm gonna still speak up," and all this other stuff. So basically after that, um, my mom walked home, and I witnessed the whole thing, and I recorded the whole thing too. I witnessed it and I recorded it. I witnessed it and recorded it. And she full on confronted him. And I was pretty ticked off that, you know, I was pretty ticked off that, you know, he's basically the the way they went about it, because she was in the wrong. Well, the only thing that she was in the wrong for was going 5 over. Now the thing is, I vaguely recall her slowing down when the guy got out of his truck because she had to move over for him. So basically, he was in the wrong. And, he's one of those guys where he doesn't admit he's wrong. He thinks he's always right. And he's basically a coward for not defending his argument against my mom. He was a coward because he did not speak or back up what he was saying about my mom, about her speeding, because he has no evidence. And I witnessed the whole thing. Then they accuse her of drinking? No. No. That's what's going to lead to a defamation trial. Now, of course, with Kelly Humphrey saying things like, "Oh, well, you're all handicapped, blah, 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 blah. You're deaf, blah, blah, blah." That's actually against the American Disability Act. Is if you discriminate somebody that has disability, the person with the disability can sue that person. So basically, the only way that anything could have been resolved is by lawsuit. Now, of course, social media is not a good thing to use wrongly. And basically, she basically attacked my mom for no apparent reason. Everybody did. And they even admitted that they're attacking her. Because why are they attacking her? Why? What did my mom do to you? To the point to where you have to go on Facebook and attack her? What? What did she do to make you feel like you had to go on Facebook and attack her? What? What did she do? All my mom did was she was upset because somebody was talking about her. You can't talk about somebody on social media without them seeing it, without them having a response, because that stuff, it stays out there, unless the person who created the post deletes the post, or the administrator deletes the post, or Facebook does. You understand? And oh, you're deaf shit. You're this. You're that. I hope your son's for what you're proud for. You're a true gem. Blah 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 blah. And she was basically the one making herself look like an idiot. Making herself look just like an idiot. Like, really, what do you think's gonna come about that? Like, you're making yourself look like an idiot, basically, because you want to attack somebody who is upset because somebody's talking about on social media. You know, it's like you're a mother, yet you're using social media improperly when you're trying to teach your kids not to use it improperly. I just don't get it. I mean, social media shouldn't even exist, but here we are. Now, speaking about um, the whole neighborhood drama and the uproar, my mom was not advocating speeding and hitting kids. That's not what she was advocating. And basically, they were, they just wouldn't listen. They just wouldn't understand that, hey, my mom is not trying to be a problem. She's trying to be helpful. Because she doesn't want to have to deal with idiots, basically. People who think they know best for her, for anyone else. And for you to attack her like that, make fun of her disability, make fun of her loud speaking and other loud speaking. Yeah, my mom is hearing impaired. She's not 100% deaf. It's just that she is extremely hard of hearing. And back then we had to raise our voices just for her to be heard, basically. Which is understandable. But these people are violating the ADA Act and are going to get sued if my mom wanted to sue them. Which she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to sue. You know? Nobody wants to get sued. But the problem is, you just feel so entitled to go on Facebook and attack someone who is defending herself because some coward went and spoke about her. And yes, Carlitos Rivatero is a coward. He didn't stand up and defend his argument. He was basically like, oh, some woman yelled at me because I yelled at her to slow down when she wasn't even speeding. Oh my God, I'm always in the right. I'm always in the right. Yeah, I'm always in the right. Everyone else is in the wrong. Basically. Now, let me explain something to you about what happened with one of my neighbors. Neighbor's boyfriend was driving his truck through the neighborhood and he was going slow. And right in front of that police car, which is the canine cop's atrocious police car that just sits right there, blocks people from seeing. And it's just like, why? First of all, the canine cop and his wife, they're entitled too. You know, and they're not in. You know, they were a young couple with toddlers. They didn't do anything about the kids out in the street in the first place, about them not paying attention. As you guys know, I almost hit the kid twice. Because of them not paying attention. They're not paying attention. They don't pay attention. I mean, it's like, it's as if they're discriminating against me because I'm not a car. I'm not in a car. I'm on a bicycle. They think, oh, well, you know, you can just have a bicycle squeeze in between a guy standing in front of a parked car and a parked car here and just have me squeeze right in the back of it like that. No. No. First of all, my bike's too big to fit through a space that small. Second of all, it's not how you go about it. There are right-of-way laws for a reason. Okay? And telling you, you gotta move out of the way. I do not mess around with pedestrians. If you're going to be on pavement, you're going to have to move out of the way. If you're not capable of walking in the street and leaving as much space as possible for other people to get by, then you shouldn't be on the street in the first place. If you're not capable of watching your kids, then you shouldn't be having them out there anyway. Yeah, I understand. It really gets your adrenaline flowing knowing that your kid's going to get hit by a car when they're out in the street. And there ain't a daggone thing you can do about it. The thing about it is, you have to understand that the world doesn't revolve around you. It doesn't revolve around your kids neither. When I was a kid growing up, I was aware. And people driving cars were aware. You know? And now that I'm starting to drive, I basically understand how it is. I mean, you have to go like less than 5 miles an hour to get past little kids. Because literally a little kid will just cut right in front of you. Literally, a little kid will just cut right in front. Because I'm telling you, kids will just cut right in front of you. They'll literally stand out in the street. They'll literally stand out behind their parents' car at the parking lot at the grocery store. And they'd almost come out in front of you. And who gets pissed? The parent. Because you're in a parking lot. You shouldn't be going that fast. Because I've actually known people that have actually ran out in that have like come out like about like maybe 4 feet away from the back of the vehicle, their parents' vehicle, and my mom have to swerve off to the right up a bit to avoid them. And that's the thing about it is you cannot drive fast in areas like that. You gotta drive slow. You've gotta drive slow. Gotta drive slow. You cannot go fast through a parking lot of kids. You cannot go fast through any street, rather. Anything with kids. If there are kids nearby, you can not, and I mean not, drive fast. You have to slow down. You have got to slow down. You have to slow down. Bottom line is. Because it only takes half a sec for a kid to come right out in front of you. And do you know who gets pissed at you? The parents. I know recently, well not recently, but last year my mom and I were in the car and we were pulling up to a parking lot, and these father with little kids was walking out from Best Buy, walking around, and as my mom was pulling into the parking area, these people went right out in front of her, and she slammed on the brakes, stopped, and the guy yelled at my mom yelled at him, and they just went their separate ways. You see, people get pissed when you do that. People get pissed. So yeah. Going back to the truck thing. So basically, my neighbor's boyfriend was driving his truck, and there was these kids playing out in the street. And one kid came right out from in front of that police car and went right out in front of him. And he slammed on his brakes and he stopped. And he came to a complete stop. But a parent went up to his vehicle, jumped in front of his vehicle, and screamed at him and went completely ape on him. Literally went completely ape on him. Went completely off and just completely just lost his cool. And he just completely just lost his cool. I mean, the woman just went completely off on him. Cussed him out, all this stuff. And they all just pretty much just went after him. That kind of there is a bit unfair in my opinion. Because how come, I mean, and they probably were drunk, they probably were all this stuff. The canine cop and his wife, they would also be drunk. I think that the day that cop confronted me, I think he was drunk because he works like a night shift kind of thing, and he's been drunk when he's been out there, drunk. They are drunk. They're drunk. I tell you. He probably was drunk. Or whatever it was, hangover, whatever. They would be out there drinking. Drunk. They would go over across the street and they would be drunk. With all those parents and kids. They would go out there and they get drunk. That's what they do. They go out there and they get drunk. And they just let the kids do whatever they want. Then, when a car comes, it's like your worst enemy, basically, is how it goes. Canine cop's wife. What's the deal with her? So let's go after the canine cop's wife here. The canine cop's wife here, she basically portrayed me as a maniac as well. Saying, oh, your son hit my child. Your child hit my child years ago when riding his bike. Where were you to supervise him? And I was pissed. Because you're going to bring that up when you had an opportunity to talk to my mom about it. Okay? The thing with the canine cop and his wife is they pretty much do it all in general towards us, towards me. They wouldn't go to my mom, they would come to me about it. And the thing is, I'm a teenager, basically. Now, of course, you might be thinking, well, a teenager can hold his own fort, he can handle himself. Well, the thing about it is, I was not driving at the time. I could have gotten my permit back then, but didn't. I could have been driving. And yeah. And I was not as mature as I am now. Confronting a teenager, going berserk on him a couple times, mouthing off and all this stuff. Yeah. And basically, they were mouthing off to me. Because one day I was riding my bike, and, well, there's a couple instances. If you guys want to know about the canine cop story, it's down in the link in the description. I'll leave a link there so you can gain access to it. But like what I said, I mean, riding my bike, normal, easygoing type stuff. Then I get confronted. Because what happened was the canine cop was reversing his car, his personal car, out from his driveway. For whatever reason. And he did it as I was going by. So I kind of had to squeeze behind him so that way I can get past him. And the thing about it is, if you can't drive a freaking tiny car without knowing what's behind you, then you shouldn't be driving. It's not like you're driving some full-size SUV or truck. If you cannot tell what's behind you, you should not be driving. Okay? And you have got to pay attention. There were a couple times when the canine cop would make his U-turn in his police car, and he would almost hit me when I'm coming by. Like, dude, aren't you a cop? Do you want to be talking to a state trooper because you hit a cyclist? No. So, you know, you can't do that stuff. You really can't do that stuff. And and then his wife goes and says, "You be my calf riding a bike." Like, excuse me, you don't know who I am. You don't know who I am. You do not know who I am. Seriously. You don't know who I am. You do not know who I am. Seriously. You do not know who I am. Seriously. You don't know who I am. You don't know who I am. You don't know who I am, basically. Like, you do not know who I am. And, yeah. You don't know who I am. You don't know what I do in my personal life, and you'll need to know. The thing about it is, you have the audacity to tell me I need to be more careful riding my bike. You're not my mom. My mom's like 20 years older than you. And she actually knows what she's doing with her kids, you know? Because she has something known as trust in in her kids to trust they'll do what they're supposed to be doing. Now, of course, they wanted to confront me. They were going to do it anyway. Because the canine cop confronted me that a couple other times, actually. And after that, the canine cop confronted me in his Honda Civic, basically acting as if he's a cop, which he is a cop. You know, puts his arm out, confronts me. And then he confronted me again a couple years later, or like the year after that or something. Confronted me then as well. Came up to my bike and all that. It's all in that video if you guys want to check it out. But anyway, portraying me as person, I mean, running over. I did not run over her kid. I hit her kid. There's a difference. Now, was it intentional? No. You know, I was riding, and he ran right in front of me, and he got hit. And I did my best to stop. Brakes locked up, skidded right into him. I couldn't do anything about it. And she let me go. But the thing about it is that ever since that happened, they have always been on top of me. Like, always on top. Like, they're worried about it's going to happen again, which it could happen again. Because the thing is, I'm one cyclist. But yet, they're going to focus all their attention on me. And that's basically what they're doing. I mean, over the years after that, it was non-stop problems with them. Non-stop problems. It was non-stop. It was non-stop problems. Problems after problems after problems. You know, one time I was on a little push scooter and the cop thought I was going to hit somebody, and he went completely crazy on me and confronted me and demanded I stop. And I didn't stop. I kept going. Of course, if he was in uniform and he was a on-duty cop, then I would stop for him. Then he'd have to make a legal traffic stop, basically. That's when it would be legal for him to do it. He would have to conduct a traffic stop. Now, why would you conduct a traffic stop on a push scooter? Push scooters, I don't think, count as vehicles. I think they're just kid stuff. I don't know. I don't think there's really any... Because on a scooter, you're not really in a vehicle. You're kind of on wheels. On basically a skateboard with a handlebar. Is basically what they are. And basically you're confronting somebody. Now, of course, what should the cop and canine cop's wife should have done? They should have gone to my mom, or whoever my mom was with back in the day. She should have just gone and confronted them. Gone to my mom, say, hey, your son did this, your son did that, blah, blah, blah. Then my mom would take care of it. But then everything I told my mom could have gone down to their house or could have confronted them and say, hey, you confronted my son over something so stupid, and yet you don't have the audacity to come to me. You don't go to my son and confront him while he's outside. You come and talk to me. You don't go and talk to my son. You got a problem with my son? You come to me. You don't go to my son. And that's how she would have said it. She would have been livid. She would have been livid, and would have confronted them full on. Nope. She would have full on confronted them for doing that. And I told my mom what happened. Which, yes, the cop did get in my face. I mean, he acted as if I had a freaking diesel engine truck. And he got right up in my face. Like, he was about this close to my face that time he confronted me. Like, you don't need to get up in my face like that. Keep back some space. You don't need to get up in my face like that. There's a whole video about it if you guys want to check it out. Anyway. Gina. Gina. What happened with Gina? Gina, basically, she accused my mom of drunk driving. She was not drunk. Mom's not an alcoholic. Yes, does my mom drink? Does she drink and drive? No, she does not drink and drive. She would, she would drink at home and get all silly and stuff with her neighbor next door. And that's all that she would do. And if this Gina was so daggone nosy, which she is nosy, they actually were friends or mutual friends. They weren't like friends, but they got along. But they tolerated one another. They tolerated them is the more appropriate term. They tolerated each other. So because they tolerated each other, my mom bought things from her, like lotions and things like that from her, would wave at them. And she would wave at me too. But one day, all that changed. The day that she confronted that guy, that's when their relationship just went right down. Or friendship, rather. Is when their friendship just went right down. Because I understand it was on her property, but she did not witness the whole thing that go on. She was only there afterwards. You know what I mean? She didn't witness it. She did not witness it. And I understand it's on her property. It's in her driveway. I understand. Doesn't want any issues. But unfortunately, things like these happen. Now going on to her saying that my mom was drunk, that was 100% false. She was not drunk that day. I was a witness. Her friend was a witness. She was not drunk. She was completely not drunk. She was 100% normal. My mom was all beach wiped out from the beach, but that's pretty much it. And when my mom comes and goes at you like that aggressively, it's not good. She had confronted her and said, hey, you told me to slow down when I wasn't even speeding. So that's why she confronted him. Now, of course, there are many different ways things like that can escalate. Now, going back to the drunk driving thing, and then talking about how she's this, she's that, talking about me. Once again, that's defamation of character. It's defamation. So she would be looking at a defamation trial because she said those things on Facebook. And it was from that moment on, that's when their relationship went downhill. Not relationship, but friendship. It just went downhill. Now, of course, you might be saying, well, now the thing about why I exposed Gina's profession on Facebook, on YouTube, is because you have a teacher who works with special needs children, who is basically whipping out the disabilities card, and is basically attacking. Those neighbors took every opportunity they could to attack my mom. And how was I supposed to respond to that? Talking about me running over their children when I didn't even do that. I hit the kid. Okay, you're portraying me as a crazy person. You're portraying me as a person, as a crazy person. Now, of course, I have been able to hold my own fort when I'm out riding. That's why I'm unsupervised. I don't need to be supervised. I was, how old? 13 years old, 14 years old when I moved into the neighborhood. I'm a teenager. I'm old enough. Okay? But a teenager versus a 8-year-old out in the street by themselves, not being watched, not paying attention for kids, or drivers, or cyclists, whatever, that creates a problem. It really does. Now, going on to the whole neighborhood issues with the speeding, these parents, they practically attacked my mom, just at everything. And I think that if other neighbors stood up and they fought back, I think that would have changed everything. I think everything would have changed. I think that what would have happened is things would have changed. Things would have changed. Things wouldn't be like that. Things just would have changed, basically. Things would have changed. Seriously. Things would have changed. And I do think that had something been done about it, had something been done, had neighbors stood together and say, hey, you're wrong for attacking this woman. You're wrong for attacking her. You do not make the laws here, Karen. The police do, the lawmakers do, the DOT does. As far as everyone else is concerned, you're just a mother with kids playing out in the street. You got a problem with it, you go to the Department of Transportation and you say, hey, I am worried about my kids getting hit because people are not going 15 miles an hour. They're going above that. And I'm worried that my kids are going to get hit. You know what they're going to do? They're going to tell you, well, there's not much we can do. We're not going to send a cop to sit there because it's a complete waste of time. They got other issues to worry about. They're not worried about a neighborhood with 15 mile an hour speed limit, people violating that. They're going after people that are going fast on the highway or on regular roads. They're not worried about it. The least that they will do is put up speed cameras. That's the least they will do. But knowing Virginia, they're not going to do that. because they don't ever put up speed cameras ever on the roads. The only cameras they use are red light cameras, and that's all they use is red light cameras. They do not use speed cameras. I've not when I lived there. No. Okay, because they're not going to send the cop to sit there. Now, of course, we have a cop that lived in that neighborhood, canine cop. The thing about it is he ain't on duty. He can't do anything either, unless his department says, "Hey, canine cop, we need you to do speed enforcement on the street." Then he'll be like, "Okay, I'll do it," and then he'll be writing up tickets. Now, how many tickets is he actually going to write? Probably maybe like one. But considering that he's a canine cop and they need canine units out there, they're not going to have him do it. Unless he is not doing something at the moment. Now, how many tickets is he going to write? Probably maybe like one a month. Probably. Because going 5 over, it's not that big of a deal towards going 10 over. In terms of going 10 over versus 5 over, it's not that big of a deal. Everybody goes 5 over. Most people do. But, you can't change that. The only thing that can change it is laws. Now, of course, this Kelly Humphrey lady attacking my videos, yeah, it might be the end of the discussion. You may not like what I have said. But the thing about it is you attack somebody with a disability and you attack them and said all these things about them, which was not okay. I mean, you're a grown-ass adult. You need to act like one, basically. I mean, you escalated it. You are in the wrong for the way you handled the situation. And that's why I think that you should atone for your type of behaviors. If you really had a problem with speeding, you need to understand that people are adults too. People are people too. Speeding people are people too. Okay? There is not one situation you can resolve by being civil. You're not being civil, you're being aggressive on Facebook, social media, on the Facebook page. Attacking neighbors who you know nothing about. And I know where this neighbor lived, and they are not anywhere near my house. I've seen them in their vehicles, and that's all I've seen them. And I've seen them. Now let's talk about the aftermath of all this. What happened in regards to the aftermath? What happened with the aftermath? The aftermath was, after that happened, I didn't have any issues with neighbors, however. Neighbors who were involved in this were looking at me as if I was some kind of monster, basically. Like I was a bad person. Like I was hated. Loathed. As if I was hated. Because I ride my bike in that neighborhood and the people that were involved, they're like, guy's a jerk. Oh, he kind of was doing too much. Yeah, I have to say I kind of was doing too much in regards to my commenting. The problem is, you don't go and attack someone like that. Okay? You're not a cop. You're not a judge. You don't make the laws. As far as you're concerned, you're a civilian. You want to take things in your own matter, live in Pennsylvania or something. Live in Texas, where they have self-defense laws and gun laws and all that. You want to do all that, then go live in frickin' Texas. You live in Virginia, which is a fairly strict state. And surprisingly, they actually let some things legal and other things not legal there. But the thing about it is that you're in Virginia. You don't like the way it is. You want to protect your kids even further, then go live in Texas. That's all I can say. Because, you're not a police officer. You cannot confront people like that. If you went to somebody's house, and I know in Virginia it's illegal to do that, to go and use self-defense in Virginia like that. I don't know how it all works, but I know that, you know, if somebody had a gun or a knife or whatever, and you went up to their house and confronted them, and they used it on you, that's a risk you took. All because of what? Telling them to slow down? You're not a police officer. You're not armed. You don't have equipment to protect you if someone is armed. Do you see all these road rage fights on the internet with people having their windshield wipers torn off and their windows broken and they're assaulted in the face? That stuff's real. It could happen anywhere. You do not confront people in your vehicle. You do not confront people in a vehicle. Because you don't know what they could be. You don't know what they could be armed with. You don't know. Somebody could get out and hurt you. Okay? The thing that you as a parent can do is try to limit the risk of your kid getting hit. Now what's the limit that you can do? The limit is move them out of the way as the car is approaching. Because the only thing the person in the car can do is honk their horn. And I've done that at the Canine Cop's kids, and the cop would get ticked off at me for that. And I'm on a bicycle. I mean, I can't even ride my bike in that neighborhood. That's how bad it is with kids. Because otherwise, I would have to get a new horn, like, within a month. That's how bad it is. Every single street in that neighborhood is just a cluster of kids. Kids that can't decipher danger. They don't know what's going on with them. Or what's going on around their surroundings. They're just so focused on playing, they just don't know what they're doing. And it's really risking them to the point of an accident. And these parents are not watching them. They're not watching them. They just let them basically do whatever they want. And while they're drinking and socializing, basically, getting drunk. I mean, that entire street across from where the Canine Cop is, that street is like a cluster. You can't even go down it on a nice warm night. You can't even go down it. It's that bad. There's crap all over the road. It's literally like there is a club, a nightclub in the middle of the street. Like, that's just how it is. Like, you can't even go down that street in your own vehicle, especially if you live on that street, because you can't even get there. It's that bad. I don't even feel safe going down that street. Didn't even feel safe going down that street because of how bad it was. It was kids after kid after kid after kid. It's all kids and parents out there getting drunk, basically. And I'm sorry, you have the right to do that, but, you know, that's kind of selfish if you ask me. You know? I mean, what? Do you want to put up barricades and block off the street? Hey, if you guys want to socialize, go out to a pavilion and do that. Don't do it in the middle of the street. That's all I gotta say. And Kelly Humphrey, you can attack me all you want, but I will break it down and explain it. Same thing with you, Cannon Cop wife. You know, you wanna. I mean, come on. It's not that big of a deal, and you guys are making it a big deal about me. I mean, look at how you guys treated me, Cannon Cop wife. You guys treated me like crap. I mean, if you guys had a problem with me, go to my mom. So, and go to my mom and say, hey, your son was riding his bike and did this and did that. And it's like no matter what I did, good-wise, if I did the slightest mistake, that cop is on me. And I need to know how those people are. Controlling people, I cannot stand controlling people at all. Cannot stand them. I can't stand narcissists. I can't stand controlling people. I can't stand any other type of people. I cannot stand them. You know, I can't stand narcissists. I can't stand controlling people. And, those super serious cop who got nothing better to do but to confront me over stupid crap. I mean, yes, confronting how old was I? A 15-year-old kid riding his scooter. Well, no, not 15. I was 14, right? Yeah, I was 14 years old when he confronted me on the scooter. 14-year-old kid, and you're going and confronting him. Riding a scooter because you think he's going to hit some kid. If I were to hit some kid with a scooter, the worst thing it'll do is just knock him over. Okay? It's a thin piece of metal on the front. Thin line of aluminum. And you're just going to go and confront someone's kids like that. And demand that they stop. And I didn't stop. And I know he was yelling at me. If you guys want to check it out, it's in the Cannon Cop video. Anyway, we're moving on past the Cannon Cop video. Let's talk about the overall... Let's talk about this Boyer Angus lady. Ben Boyer Angus. Let's talk about her. So, she wasn't full on, like, attacking disabilities, attacking this. But she basically was saying, like, gossiping doesn't solve the problem and I should be an adult. Hey, you got a problem with me? You could stop my bike and I'd talk to you. Of course, it'll be recorded, though, because it's on my camera. You want to talk to me? You talk to me. I ain't afraid to talk to you. You talk to me, you talk to me. It's that simple. I'm not afraid of talking about it face to face. The problem is, you go on Facebook and you basically say I ran over your child and then attack my mom repeatedly over something so stupid. My mom was not advocating speeding. She was PO'd because somebody accused her of speeding when she wasn't even speeding. I mean, it kind of made no sense. Like, why are these mothers attacking her? And not one single guy stepped in and did anything. Everybody just watched it all. And it was kind of embarrassing. It was embarrassing for me and for my mom. Because it was embarrassing. I mean, we're one person versus like 6 or 7 other people. And nobody stepped in to say, hey, it was BS, man. And yes, I was upset. It made me upset. Because people are confronting you. People are talking about you on Facebook like that. And nobody else is getting involved. Now, there are some people that actually started being more friendlier to me ever since then. People started waving because they know that I stood up for myself. Because I stood up for myself. I stood up for myself. I said, hey, you're going to go and talk about me on Facebook like that. Talk about me on Facebook. Confront me on Facebook. Confront my mom on Facebook. And just say all these repeated stuff. Like, I'm sorry, but you don't go on there and do it. I mean, yeah, I understand. You can't hit kids. You can't hit kids with your car. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in another video. Peace.